that market is a very unique market. Richmond, Williamsburg, Tidewater, Washington, D.C. Kings Dominion, I always said, I'm the only general manager that whose core market is outside my park, 75, 100 miles, because I drew more people the first 10 years from Washington, D.C., Maryland, that area, than I did from Richmond, Virginia. Typically, you draw from your 50 mile, your 100 mile, your 150. I was drawing more people from 100 and beyond than I was Richmond, because the population at Richmond when we got there, it was only about 700,000 people in the area. And the difficult part of running that park and being the general manager initially was I had to compete head-to-head with Busch Gardens. And you had Busch Gardens 60 miles to the east of me. So the people who lived in Norfolk, and Tidewater, Hampton Roads, they didn't come past Busch Gardens. Why would they? The people who lived in Maryland, Washington, D.C., and right in Richmond, they didn't go past Kings Dominion. And I always said, why would you drive past this McDonald's to go to this McDonald's to get the same hamburger? And it was basically the same hamburger. We were theme parks. That changed when Busch introduced the Loch Ness Monster. That made that more of a ride park. People from the north wanted to go see that. So Kings Dominion I had left by then, right after that, and they had to change their approach to rides and attractions, and they had to soften the park and make it more beautiful like Busch was, because Busch had all the shade. And it was from a demographic standpoint, Busch was always an older park. We were a young family, teen, children's park. And then that started to shift as Busch put in more rides. So really what happened was to that market, and it remains the same to today, 2017, we cut the baby right in half. It's the old cut the baby in half. Whoever puts the new ride in, that's where people go. So if you look at the history of attendance through the years, you'll see it just flips back and forth. There's been no real difference in market share growth. The pies remain the same. It's just people go back and forth between the two parks. So Busch, this is something. Busch didn't know what we were building in 1975, and we didn't understand what Busch was building in 1975. We opened within a week or two of one another. And there were two major theme parks, boom, all of a sudden in Virginia. And had we done more study back then, somebody wouldn't have built. And whichever park had developed, whether it was Busch or Kings Dominion, that park today would do 5 million people. Those parks today do 2.5 million. It just goes back and forth. I don't even know if they exceed 3. I don't think they do. I have always found it interesting that when there's an accident, and heaven forbid they happen, but actuarially and numerically, we're one of the safest places to be on the planet because of how we self-police and our insurance, how we inspect our rides. If we stub a toe, it's one too many. But if there happens to be an accident where someone is killed, it gets the sensationalism of an airliner crash. And understandably, because you go there to have fun. But when you think about the hundreds of millions of people who go, the billions of rides that are given, actuarially, on the consumer product safety list, we fall at the bottom of the list. It's more dangerous to barbecue, play pool, watch television, garden, cut your grass, almost anything really than go to a theme park. But when we have an accident, we get that. And safety is a hallmark of our industry. And we've always blazoned that on our foreheads. That's what we think about. We want no one hurt. As I said, if we stub a toe, that's too much. But overall, for you to come and interview me, drive in your car, is more dangerous than you and I going around and getting on 50 roller coasters and riding them over the next 3 days.